The gymnasium was glowing with bright lights and decorations that glittered like stars. Music filled the air, and laughter and chatter bounced off the walls. Tonight was prom night in this small town. A night everyone had been waiting for. Girls wore fancy dresses, their hair done up in curls and sparkles. Boys wore neat suits and polished shoes, looking sharp and confident. In the middle of the crowd stood a girl who didn't quite fit in. Her dress was simple, made of soft cotton, and her shoes were plain. She wasn't wearing flashy jewelry or heavy makeup. Her hair was pulled back gently, nothing overdone. She looked out of place among the glittering gowns and expensive tuxedos, but there was something quiet and steady in her posture, a calm that came from years of hard work on the family farm. Nearby, a boy with a wide smile and easy confidence caught sight of her. He was one of the most popular kids in school. His friends laughed as he pointed and made a joke about her outfit. The boy's laugh was loud and sharp, cutting through the music and chatter like a knife. He didn't just laugh at her dress, he laughed at where she came from, at everything she represented in their town. In this small rural place, money and status ruled the halls. The kids from wealthier families had fancy cars and designer clothes, while others worked hard on farms or in local shops. The laughter wasn't just about a dress, it was about the divide that separated them. It was about looking down on the hard-working girl and everyone like her. Tonight the girl heard that laughter, and though it stung, she didn't let it break her. Not yet. Before the prom night, life for the girl was very different from the sparkling world inside the gym. Every morning, long before the sun rose, she was up. The farm was never quiet. Roosters crowed, animals stirred, and there was always work waiting. She helped feed the animals, fixed fences, and helped her parents with chores that never seemed to end. It wasn't easy. Sometimes her hands ached, and her feet were sore from walking in the mud, but she didn't complain. She understood that the farm was their family's life, their home, and her responsibility. While she woke to the smell of fresh hay and cool morning air, other teens from town had very different mornings. Their days began with breakfast in fancy kitchens, cars waiting in driveways with engines humming softly, and wardrobes filled with the latest styles. Their clothes were always perfect, their nails painted and shiny, and their days filled with parties, shopping, and weekend trips. They talked about places they had been or planned to go, things that seemed like a dream to the girl who rose with the sun. At school she was often ignored or judged by those same teens. They whispered behind her back, called her names that made her stomach twist. They said she was just a farm girl, as if that made her less important or smart. They didn't see the long hours she spent studying by candlelight or the dreams she quietly held inside. To them she was invisible, someone to make fun of or look down on. But there were a few who showed kindness. A friend here or there would smile her way, or share a joke, reminding her she wasn't alone. Those small moments felt like a warm light in the cold hallways of the school. Still, the girl carried a quiet pride deep inside. She knew where she came from. The farm wasn't just a place, it was her family's legacy, the sweat and love of generations. She was proud of her roots, even if others didn't understand. The world outside might judge her by the clothes she wore, or the car she didn't have, but she knew her worth wasn't in those things. That pride kept her steady, even when she felt hurt and invisible. And tonight, at prom, that quiet strength was about to be tested like never before. The music was loud and the room full of swirling dresses and flashing lights. Emily stood near the edge of the dance floor, trying to enjoy the night, despite feeling like she didn't belong. Her simple dress, though clean and neat, looked plain compared to the sparkling gowns around her. She wasn't used to this kind of attention, and she moved carefully, trying not to draw too many eyes. That's when he saw her. The popular boy with his friends gathered close, laughing and joking like they owned the place. He watched her for a moment, then stepped forward with a smirk. Without warning, he let out a loud, mocking laugh. "Look at her," he said so everyone could hear, like she just came from the barn, not the prom. The words cut through the music, and the crowd paused for a second, some giggling nervously, others looking away. Emily froze. The laughter felt like a sharp sting, hotter than she expected. Her cheeks flushed, and her heart pounded in her chest. She wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor, but she held her head high. She didn't say a word, instead she took a deep breath, feeling the sting of humiliation, and the weight of every whispered insult she'd heard before. The room fell silent, the laughter fading as if everyone suddenly realized the cruelty in those words. Some faces looked away, ashamed or unsure what to do. But the damage was done. Emily's eyes filled with tears she wouldn't let fall. She turned quietly, and walked away, leaving the noisy gym behind. Outside, the night was cool and calm, the sky was filled with stars, and a soft breeze brushed her face. She walked alone, away from the bright lights and the judging eyes. The silence was a sharp contrast to the laughter she had just left. She wondered, not for the first time, if this small town would ever see her for who she really was. Would she always be stuck in this box of dirt roads and broken dreams? But deep down, beneath the hurt, a small spark of hope still burned. The night was far from over, something was coming, something no one could have expected. And this girl, the one everyone thought they knew, was about to show them all just how wrong they were. The night had settled into a quiet calm. Emily's footsteps slowed as she wandered farther from the gym, her thoughts heavy with the laughter still ringing in her ears. She felt small, like a shadow fading into the dark. The warm lights and joyful noise seemed miles away now. The sky above was deep and endless, sprinkled with stars, and the cold night air filled her lungs as she tried to steady her shaking hands. Just as she began to wonder if this night was truly over, that she would quietly disappear back into her small-town life, the faint but unmistakable sound of helicopters broke the silence. At first, it was just a low hum, soft and distant, then, closer and louder, it filled the air with a steady beat, pulsing over the quiet streets and into the open fields nearby. People inside the prom gym stopped and stared. Conversations faltered, eyes turned toward the windows. The buzz of the helicopters grew until two large machines descended gracefully onto the field beside the building. Dust swirled as their blades cut through the night air, whispers and gasps swept through the crowd. The popular teen and his friends looked on, confused, mouths slightly open. The girl standing alone outside stopped and watched, heart pounding in a different way now, not from fear, but from surprise. The doors of the helicopters opened, and out stepped two figures, well-dressed and confident. They weren't the simple farmers everyone expected. Instead, they moved with the ease of people used to power and respect. The crowd watched as the man and woman smiled warmly, their eyes searching the gathering teens. It was then the truth came to light. The girl's parents weren't just farmers struggling to make ends meet. They were successful business owners, quietly supporting the town in ways no one knew about. They had been working behind the scenes to give their daughter a chance at something greater, a full scholarship to a prestigious university, a future far beyond the dusty fields. Emily had kept it a secret, not wanting anyone to pity her, or think she needed special treatment. She had spent months applying, preparing, and dreaming of this moment. The popular teen's laughter was now replaced by stunned silence. His assumptions shattered like glass. The girl he had mocked wasn't who he thought she was. And as Emily approached the helicopters, ready to leave the night behind, the crowd realized how blind they had been. She climbed into the helicopter with a quiet smile, the wind lifting her hair as the blades began to spin. Her roots, her hard work, and her quiet strength had been underestimated, but now, everyone saw her true power. As the helicopter lifted off, Emily felt the cool night air rush past her face. The city lights below twinkled like distant stars, but none of that mattered as much as the weight lifting from her shoulders. For the first time in a long time, she felt free, free from the whispers, the laughter, and the judgments that had followed her for years. A quiet surprise settled in her chest, mixed with relief. She had kept so many dreams locked inside, afraid they might never come true, but now, those dreams were unfolding in front of her. She thought back to the moment in the gym, when the popular boy had laughed at her. That sting of embarrassment, the sharp cut of humiliation, it still lingered, but it no longer held power over her. Instead, it reminded her how wrong it was to judge someone by what they wore, where they came from, or how they looked. People often see only the surface, never knowing the stories beneath. Emily understood now that true strength isn't about fancy clothes or loud voices. It's about quiet courage, hard work, and staying true to yourself even when others don't believe in you. She had spent years waking before dawn, caring for the farm, and dreaming of something bigger. Tonight, those years of struggle turned into a new beginning. The boy who laughed at her stood among the crowd below, his smile gone, replaced by something softer, maybe regret, maybe a dawning respect. But this story wasn't about him. It was about Emily's rise, her dignity shining through the darkness of doubt and cruelty. No longer just the farmer's daughter, she was a symbol of hidden power and endless possibility. She was breaking the barriers that had kept her, and so many others stuck in old ideas and narrow minds. As the helicopter soared higher, carrying her toward a future full of hope and promise, Emily's heart held a quiet wish for kindness, respect, and understanding to grow in every small town and big city alike. Because when people look beyond appearances and see each other for who they really are, the world becomes a better place. And that was a future worth reaching for. Sometimes what we see on the surface is only a small part of the story. Appearances can be deceiving, and everyone carries a world of dreams, struggles, and strength beneath the surface. Emily's story reminds us that judging others by where they come from, or how they look, only hides the truth. Behind every quiet face, there's a story worth knowing, a story of courage, hope, and hidden power. As Emily flies toward her bright future, she carries more than just her family's legacy. She carries the promise of breaking down walls and building new paths. Her journey teaches us to look deeper, to be kinder, and to believe in the possibilities that lie within every person. Because when we do, the world becomes a place where everyone can shine.